Wisconsin Eye's 2014 election coverage is brought to you by the Wisconsin Hospital Association. For over 90 years, a valued voice for Wisconsin hospitals, supporting high-quality, high-value care in communities like yours.
Wisconsin Eye coverage of the 2014 elections continues with an interview with State Representative Steve Nass of Whitewater. He's a Republican running in the 11th State Senate District. Steve, welcome back to Wisconsin Eye.
Glad to be here.
Wisconsin Eye appreciates the support of the Wisconsin Hospital Association, which represents more than 139 hospitals and health systems, for making these candidate interviews possible. Steve, you have been you have had concerns about the UW system in your career in the Assembly. How do you think the system is doing under new President, Mr. Cross?
I think there is a new breath of fresh air that has been brought into the system. I appreciate what Ray Cross has done in the past. He is certainly sincere about what he is doing and has done. We have had several discussions, including discussion on transparency in the budget, because we've had some problems in the past. And he's addressing those with transparency and making sure that all the pots of money are identified. He really is concerned about the cost to go to school and what students and parents are funding for their child's education. I'm optimistic. I'm very optimistic.
Governor Walker, as you know, has called for a continued freeze both in the UW system, and then on Sunday he called for a freeze on tuition in the tech college system. Do you support that, sir?
Yes, I do. In fact, last session I had even previously pushed for a freeze, did not get it. I was able to get a limit on the increase a couple terms ago, and in last session pushed for actually a 4-year freeze. My colleagues went with a 2-year freeze, and this year I was pleased to see that the governor is going to push for a 2-year freeze, and I believe he will get it, assuming that he's reelected. We all know the cost of higher education. The debt that's out there exceeds $1 trillion. It exceeds credit card debt, and we need to focus on that cost. And internally, and I believe under Ray Cross, we will do more of looking inside to see where we can shave more dollars off. Freezing tuition really will help to force the university system to do exactly that, look internally and continue to do that. They have done some, and more should be done.
The other side of that, though, is the regents said, okay, in the wake of a freeze, we believe we need $84 million in GPR money over the next 2-year budget. Do you support that $84 million?
We'll see. We have to prioritize. I did initially say that it's worth looking at. And I truly believe that, because some of the initiatives the legislature has already embraced regarding the K-12 school system. There is the additional cost for that otherwise would create a deficit for salaries and fringe benefits of the professors and employees of the university system. So to the extent that we have the money, we need to take a look at that, and I've always felt whether it's K-12 or K-12 first, of course, and then the university system, education's got to be a priority. That really needs to happen for the sake of the students going to K-12 and then also the university students when they graduate, to make sure that they are well prepared.
I want to ask you about two things last week. Earlier in the week, the Legislative Fiscal Bureau projected a potential structural deficit of more than $1 billion. Then on Sunday, the governor said if he's reelected, he'd like to cut income taxes even more. Do you see a contradiction there? Do you think you're a veteran member of the Assembly. Do you think there'll be an opportunity to cut income taxes even more if you're a member of the Senate?
I think that possibility exists, and the projected deficit is just that. It's projected. We'll have more numbers in October to see where we're really at. Right now we should finish in the black, but going forward, and that's where this deficit comes in, going forward you have the cost to continue. Those costs are ongoing, the payroll and all the costs just to run government increase. And we'll see with the economy and going forward whether we truly will end up with a deficit or not. And if we do, my response is that we will correct it, just as we did when Governor Doyle left and we were left with a $3.6 billion deficit. We corrected it. We brought our house into order, and we can do it again, and we will do it again. And I think in conjunction with that, at all costs, I think we're overtaxed, that if we can deliver another decrease in income taxes, we'll do it.
One of the biggest items in the next state budget, as you're well aware, is aid to schools. What are if you're a member of the Senate, what are going to be your priorities when aid to schools is debated in the 2015-2017 biennium?
I have historically said that when we have a surplus, well, there are two things that happen with a surplus. Some goes to the rainy day fund, which is appropriate, and then a priority is K-12 education. Absolutely, and that has been in the past and will be going forward. We've increased over the last 5 years. It's been about 3% that went into education. The problem with the funding in the past is that under Governor Doyle, he used the stimulus money to fund education. That's one-time money, that's a mistake, I think, for families, whether they do that with one-time money to go buy things or government does that. It leaves a hole in the future, and that's what happened. We've been climbing out of that hole, and each time more and more money, and with Act 10, we were able to allow school districts to take the savings from Act 10 and put it into the classroom. So to the extent that we have additional monies available, I think our first priority has got to be K-12 education.
A big part of that debate is going to be the future of school choice and vouchers. The Speaker would like the 1,000 limit outstate on choice slots removed. Your position, sir?
We need to increase that, and looking at the impact, I would have to make a decision in the future as far as how far we go forward and what the comfort level of the public is. I think clearly the public has to be brought into the discussion, but should those limits be lifted? Yes.
Okay. The governor called over the summer for Wisconsin to withdraw from Common Core standards. How do you feel about that?
I agree with that.
You agree with that?
I think that in fact, I was one of those who was pushing legislation last session to create our own board here in the state of Wisconsin where we can have standards that would exceed actually what I believe Common Core would bring us. So I think the states are the incubators of education, and to the extent that we can create our own process, including the Department of Public Instruction in that process, we need to do that.
Projected deficit in the transportation fund of $600 million to $700 million in the next biennium. How should it be filled, sir?
That is a good question, and the legislature has wrestled with that for many years. Right now we'll say gas tax is not going to happen, indexing is not going to happen, I don't believe, because the public rose up and said to the legislature a number of years ago, get rid of indexing. And I think their general philosophy, which I embrace, is that if you're going to raise a tax and the legislature vote on it, don't do an automatic tax. I don't think the public would embrace an automatic increase cost of living with income taxes or property taxes or anything else. So if we're going to raise a tax, we need to vote on it, but the gas tax is, as far as I'm concerned, off the table. A number of other things have been talked about. The public is coming closer to toll roads, but that has federal complications.
Yeah. It would take an act of Congress to legalize them.
It would.
Existing highways.
Registration fee, again, the public would have to be brought in. Is that a possibility? That's a possibility. But discussions have to take place with the public, and they would be pay attention presumably as the budget unfolds and that process begins. That's a difficult one, and whatever we do, a couple things. One is we got to watch bonding, because right now I think it's around 20 cents out of every dollar goes to pay off the bonds and transportation.
You're right.
That 20 cents is not going into roads, and so we've got to drive that number down with roads that we are taking care of out there. My priority always has been, over the years, is take care of what we have. The legislature knows we have bridges that are deteriorating and roads that are deteriorating. Our first priority should be to take care of those. And then beyond that, where we truly need additional roads for ingress, egress, there are some projects going on right now that are needed down in the Milwaukee area. I understand that. That's fine, but where we're building roads for convenience, I think that should be curtailed until a time where we can afford that. I've also said, as an example, that with bypasses, we got to look at the numbers. Is it truly, truly needed? Where the DOT thinks that a bypass is needed, then at a minimum, and keep it at a minimum, buy the land now. Preserve the land so that we don't have houses being built on it and other structures that you have to buy out in the future, whether 10 or 15 years from now or 20 years from now. So proceed with buying the land, but if we cannot afford to put the bypass in, don't do it. But secure the land, and at some point in the future when we can pay for the blacktop or concrete going down, then go ahead and do that. But our first priority really has to be on taking care of the bridges and roads that we already have, because everybody knows if we build more, that's more to take care of. and that just exacerbates the problem.
Healthcare funding, as you know, 1 in 5 Wisconsin residents gets their health care from Medicaid. The American Hospital Association says our Medicaid reimbursement rates are the second lowest in the nation. Should they be increased, sir?
Over time, the reimbursement rates have been not as much as they would like. The Wisconsin way always has been with Medicaid. When people come onto Medicaid, we don't want to keep them there forever. If you do that, you work, I believe, closer to government-run health care. And some would like that. Trap people on Medicaid, get closer to government-run health care. I'm not a proponent of that. And the Wisconsin way has always been, let's get people off of Medicaid and move them over into regular insurance. And that's why the exchanges are out there, and we've moved people off of Medicaid and onto the exchanges. So to the extent we would have money, we can take a look at the increase in the reimbursement rate, which is lower than many other states. Although we do have, unlike other states, we have more people on regular insurance in this state than other states do. And because of that, we don't have the impact that other states have that have to continue to put more money into that reimbursement rate. So I think we're in good shape. And again, it's a priority. It depends on where the money is. There are many demands, and I've already said that K-12 education is one of those priorities. And I think legislators need to answer where are you going to get the money then. And well, it's prioritizing. Are we going to have enough money for everything we want to do? No. And I think we got to be honest about that.
The governor also on Sunday announced 2 other provisions. He would like to drug test those who receive unemployment benefits and receive food stamps, number 1. He'd like to cut back on the period that those benefits are paid from 60 to 48 months. Do you support those changes,
yes,
sir?
I have heard that out on the trail, whether it's from Democrats or Republicans, because what you have now are the benefits that are going out, and there are people that truly need help. And unfortunately, there are others who have remained on the system that could be out in the workforce. We've got hardworking people, whether Republican, Democrat, Green, Libertarian, out of their paychecks, dollars go to fund those benefits. These are people who are going to work right now and being drug tested. I was drug tested when I was in the military, random drug testing, and I had no problem with that whatsoever. And I believe the taxpayers are saying, hey, if my hard-earned dollars are going from my paycheck and I'm drug tested, and are going to people who have been on the system for a long, long time, I think it's only fair that they too ought to be considered for drug testing. And then there should be some limit. Obviously, the governor would, I believe, have protections in for those who truly need help and aren't able to go out. It would be the able-bodied without dependents, as I understand it right now. And so if they can demonstrate that there is a real problem out there, or whatever it may be, that they can't do that, I understand that. But those who are able-bodied, no dependents, yeah, they should be out there looking for a job, and we've got job training available, workforce development, and
the bill to legalize medical marijuana will be reintroduced, and now the states of Colorado and Washington have legalized the recreational use of marijuana. Your position?
When the medical professionals and law enforcement are okay with it, then I would consider it, but right now I would not. When those two come together, then things are fine. Now, as far as doing what Colorado did, no way. They have some real problems out in Colorado, and there's another state also that they're finding out the hard way that they got some serious problems with just opening the door to marijuana, and I don't want to help people ruin their life any quicker than using marijuana kind of carte blanche. I think that's a mistake.
First offense drunken driving, should it be a crime, Representative?
I think where we are right now is where it will stay. Even the candidates for Attorney General have stated that. I do believe that and did argue for, but did not succeed, that when we went to 4th offense as a felony, it should have been a third offense. We truly have to deal with drunk driving. Some efforts were made last time. It's going to be costly, and yes, it will. And this gets back to the money that we have available, because it does cost money to incarcerate. However, we've got people, and I do hear more and more, that the people that are being picked up for their 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th time, we've got to deal with it. Will it cost money? Yes. But they are out on the road, and it's just a traveling bullet. It's a matter of time before they injure someone or kill them. So the time has come. We've talked about that at the legislature for many years. Several of my colleagues have made some attempts and have succeeded in small ways of dealing with the drunk driving problem, but we really are going to have to put the hammer down on people that are out there numerous times drunk driving.
Then finally, I want to give you a chance to highlight any differences between you and your opponent on November 4, sir.
Well, I think I'll just simply say about myself. People can look historically at my record. I have always told people that I am simply a messenger of the people. The title that I hold is temporary. It happens to be Steve Nass right now. It will be somebody else another day. And that I really take seriously not being a legislator that goes along to get along. I tell my colleagues, the freshmen, when they come in, listen to what I have to say, but don't necessarily do what I have to say. You've got to represent your people back home. You got to sleep good. You aren't going to see me in the morning over a cup of coffee. This isn't a schoolroom. You got to do your job. And sometimes it gets ugly, but you got to do your job. In fact, there was a speaker in the past that was going to pull my chairmanship because I wouldn't vote at that time for a gas tax. And the gas tax got killed because enough of us banded together. And I said, you can take away my chairmanship, that's fine, but you're not going to take away my vote. I will work out on the Capitol lawn with my desk under a tree if I have to. So that has been my record, and I think people will see that's the case. I've worked with Democrats and Republicans. A couple Democrats this last time on legislation. One bill we actually got through, she asked me to be the point person because the Republicans controlled. I said, no, I don't steal bills. It's your bill. You take it. If you want me to be number 2 to help you, I'll do that. And the bill ended up getting signed into law. It was a veterans bill, and a good idea. That is Steve Nass. That's the way I was raised, and that's the way I'm going to continue to do business.
Thank you. Representative Steve Nass of Whitewater is a Republican running in the 11th State Senate District. Steve, thanks for talking to Wisconsin Eye.
You're welcome. Enjoyed it.
Thank you.